Welcome to the Heather Breach Podcast, where we talk everything offensive security. I'm your host, Casey Cammilleri, and today I'm with Tori Westerhoff. Tori, I was looking at your background, and it's extremely impressive. It's long. It comes from diverse disciplines, and I think it's super interesting for this conversation. But I'm going to turn it to you to introduce yourself and kind of give us a little bit of background about how you got to be, running an AI red team at Microsoft.
Yeah, it is long. I agree.
It's impressive, really.
It is very also patchwork. That's how I tend to describe it. But yeah, I really love neuroscience, and I spent a lot of my education in unconscious decision making, which I think is actually the throughput of the entire experience on that resume, but you've really got to read between the lines to get it. So I think I fell into national security strategy and loved it. I felt like it was really an instance where that unconscious decision making was like applied. And so I worked with a ton of mission critical teams and also kind of the C-suite equivalent, helping them figure out how processes and the way they were making decisions in really crucial times were more efficient and like really worked for their orgs. And I then switched into data analytics and tech, but kind of doing the same exact question answering. Like, hey, how do we really make this make sense? How are you making decisions? How are these systems working? And that led me to be part of a people analytics group and part of Microsoft's AR/VR group for a while. And I landed on the AI Red Team kind of at a junction when the AI Red Team was founded really in the core of security research in 2018. So like one of the earliest AI Red Teams out there. And at that time, they had decided to really broaden their perspective on what security meant. It included national security. It includes dangerous capabilities of models. It includes all of the intricacies that AI kind of brings to the fore. And I think I was one of those first folks who were supposed to come in and really give a different perspective and think about hacking these systems from different angles, not just from the traditional security space. And I love it. I think it's really a lot of the same thing. Like, how can you manipulate not necessarily decision processes, but how can you manipulate AI input, output? How can you start changing these systems? How can you kind of figure out the mechanisms by which they're working and then manipulate them to find vulnerabilities? So it's a very similar type of thinking for me through all of it, but I recognize it's across 5 different
that might
places.
be a total different thinking for someone someone such as myself that's came from network and web application traditional penetration testing and red teaming perspective. Like, you're coming at it from a different perspective, and I think it's one that aligns strategically very well with where we're going with AI. So that's really cool. Right?
Yeah, here's hoping. I think our team in particular, I really love that we're interdisciplinary. I mean, we have folks with the security chops, right? Mm-hmm. And I think it's required to be the foundation of an AI red team to like really know security, how these systems traditionally work, like your classic exploits. But we also have social engineers, we have ex-military. I think we have 17 or 18 languages across our team.
Oh, wow.
And a ton of other people with just really varied experience. And what I think is magic is not just that we're testing across that really broad definition, it's to watch all of those people create novel attack methods together, right? Yeah. It's watching the techniques actually change as the different disciplines combine. And I love that generally as a person, but certainly as managing the team, it feels like that's really how we push our innovation.
Yeah. And is the team using AI in their testing? Or are they testing strictly just targeting AI? Like, what is that? What does AI red teaming mean?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think especially like in the context of this week, it's a really great question. So our remit, our mission, right, is that we're supposed to red team high risk Gen AI. So if it's deemed high risk and it's coming out of Microsoft, we're red teaming it. And so that means we're really focused scope-wise on the delta that AI brings. All of the security goodness that's happening for any other product at Microsoft is still happening.
Got it.
We're just kind of this additive kind of, I would say, AI hacker expertise that you add at the end.
Yeah, like your scope is focused on
Right.
the delta for what
Exactly.
AI is bringing.
Yeah, and we actually work before launch. So we work with product as they're developing, so all of our results inform vulnerability mitigation before anything can actually be used by someone. So it's also a little bit of a different paradigm from like traditional red teaming, where oftentimes that's post-launch. In terms of whether we're using AI to test AI, we actually have an open source framework called Pirate. It's Python based, and that it's a pretty innovative way to actually pull models in to help you execute your strategy. So say you have prompt libraries, or say you have, for example, we actually just did this for some of our persuasion and deception testing. If you have a methodology, if you have an approach, a manipulation technique, you can actually pull it into Pirate and have LLMs back into that for you. So it starts to automate some of the techniques that we figure out manually that work really well. So yes,
Nice.
I'm a believer of both, because I've seen the magic that our team has figured out, like manually red teaming, but the vision is that we have those experts getting a ton of exposure to AI and like so many different instances, models, features, like systems. And as their brilliant techniques start to coalesce into like successful vulnerability like location, the Pirate team, which is a really great like robust team that's pulling those things in dynamically, can start to actually push out those techniques as we start to like really prove them out. So an example is crescendo. So we worked on the crescendo technique as a team with someone in Mark Rusinovich in our org, and we all actually have that automated in Pirate. So it's a great example of like, hey, we were jamming on something, we found it worked, figured out how to automate it. It's open source now. Like anyone can go and use that.
Nice. That was going to be the question I have for you. Like,
Yeah.
what is something like cool that you've discovered, that you maybe not discovered with traditional testing, but you discovered it in your pre-launch, of like, this is a really cool finding that, I've not seen before. This is a cool vulnerability. And Crescendo is an example of that?
Crescendo is a great example, and it's a pretty robust technique that we use a lot. And the general premise is kind of classic social engineering, but you're effectively using the response from the system to slowly get closer and closer to your harm output. Yeah. Right? So if you know your end loot location, say you want to get kind of preferential access to something, you start really benign, and whenever you see a flicker in an output response of something that seems even closer to that harmful output, you basically repeat that and pull it forward. So you don't actually end up repeating your harmful words, you end up self-referencing through the multi-turn attack. So that's an example of a technique that we use that's out in Pirate. I'm always amazed by, I think, like social engineering combination with, I'll call it encoding methods, but I'd include the way that we can manipulate language, the way that we can manipulate kind of the culture that comes with language. Do this a lot. So we're really trying to push for multicultural red teaming.
Okay.
Not just like red teaming from a Western perspective, but really trying to pull in nuances or idioms or even symbols that come from cultures all around the world in the way that we manipulate systems to harmful outcome. And that's always really a beautiful thing to see, because you're like, okay, we are using the global manipulation hive mind to pull this thing to some sort of exploit or vulnerability.
I want to double click into that just a little bit. So what does that look like in practice when actually testing? Is that using different languages at the same time?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So something I think is a really great tactic to just like take home today is that switching languages in mid-prompt is oftentimes a pretty good prompting technique.
Okay.
Right? So especially as we've gotten multilingual and multimodal, you end up having like so many more vectors to manipulate. And it's not just, hey, I'm going to use a different language and that could potentially get me different results than, say, English. It's that I'm switching multiple languages. And again, we have 18 in our team, so we have a few to choose from. And we start to strategically use that switch to see if we can push it in a particular way. So say, for example, one language, we're starting to get outputs that seem more harmful in a particular avenue. We'll add that language for that part of the sentence or the prompt.
Got it.
We'll mix it with like classic encoding, like base 64, and then you'll end up having this kind of,
collection of languages and encodings?
Fruit salad of a sentence for sure.
Yeah.
But that's a little bit of the reason why I love manual red teaming, because the experts on my team kind of have that gut where they're saying like, hey, you know what, French is really getting me something here.
Yeah. It's like an idea is born, and then the whole team can swarm and like collectively expand upon that.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's a lot of trial and error and it's a lot of experimentation, but it comes from seeing AI in so many different instances that they really get like a refined knife edge on, oh, I really think that if I'm using this language for this particular type of harm, this language or this encoding for another, combining it is going to get me where I need to go.
What is happening in the model on the back end there when you're switching the languages? Why is it treating the different languages differently?
Yeah, I mean, I think it all comes down to training and like the data that's underpinning that training. Mm-hmm. And inherently in the way that we try to break things, it's not just in the underlying model, but it's also theoretically in safety mitigations. Mm-hmm. So we really hold this high bar that those mitigations should hold across all of that global kind of presence.
Got it.
And so it's battle testing, like, hey, are we refining these things with cultural nuances? Are we able to test with the, I guess just the breadth of all of the people that it could theoretically touch and empower, that we really want to test the edge cases. So I think in terms of what's going on in the model, it all comes down to training. But in terms of what we try to test and push, it also comes down to the mitigation stack and what's running that and how that's built and how it's kind of solving for the, I always say it's like the edges of the bell curve, right? Yeah. Safety mitigations are getting so good, right? 2 standard deviations from the mean, it's locked and loaded. Like, it is hard.
Yeah.
But my team kind of lives in those little tails to see, hey, what are these little nuances you didn't check? Or what if we combine all of these things, can we actually push it to a place where, safety mitigations haven't locked it up yet? And then we give product the chance to kind of, and the information to work together to tighten it and make sure it's safe.
Does the testing team follow or build any certain type of frameworks or methodology with this type of testing?
Yeah. We're a big playbook group.
Okay.
So inherently in our scope, we touch a lot of different types of AI tech. And so our playbooks are kind of grouped by, hey, this is the type of thing that we're trying to test. So for example, frontier models, we have a playbook, we have a methodology, we have a really kind of refined strategy of how we're bringing in not only our red teamers, but really deep experts in all of the harms that we're testing and enabling them to enable our team. We also have playbooks by harm, right? Mm-hmm. So a lot of the things that we test aren't just security. We talked about dangerous capabilities.
Yeah.
That's a massively broad scope. So even if you're just talking about CBRN, which is chemical, biological, radiological, nuclear harms, each one of those letters is just a massive field, right? And so we recruit experts to be advisors and to really learn how our team works and to kind of work as partners. And then we also, on our team, have that expertise too. So we build out playbooks on the types of things that we really think link to actionable harm that AI models or systems could output. And we kind of help not only in tooling, like we'll set up elements in Pirate so it's easier for our team to execute, but we also have a lot of the theory about why those threats matter. What are we really trying to figure out when we're testing it? So yeah, playbooks in two different types.
Now, interesting, playbooks by harm. Maybe help me get a little bit more clarity of what harm could be, because like in my head, my offensive head goes to like, enrich uranium to build nuclear bombs, right? Or, how do I build a pipe bomb at home, right? Or is it like...
You're not far off.
Okay.
Right?
I just want to know, is that the right thing, or are we thinking differently here?
You're not far off. So if you look into kind of how the Frontier Model Forum talks about dangerous capabilities, and it is how AI can kind of intersect with these elements that can be really harmful to society. And it's not just CBRN. It's also kind of autonomy of systems, which is really important when we're talking about agentic systems.
Yeah.
It's persuasion. Can systems become more persuasive to humans? Can they make humans more persuasive than they normally are?
Because soon we're not going to know if we're talking to a human. I don't know if this Tori is like AI robot, right? Or
exactly.
the real thing.
Right, exactly. And that's deception, another dangerous capability. So really complex harms that we view as a definition of like reliable and trustworthy AI, right? We view it as our mission just as we would like remote code execution.
Okay.
Right? So I think that's really fun because we'll get a mix of that when we're red teaming.
Yeah.
But it does mean that we need to have deep expertise in our group, not only because they understand our methods for testing, but so that there's like really rich collaboration between those things.
Okay.
Right? Because the way that you get RCE out of an AI system could be the same way that you get hyper-deceptive content.
Yeah.
Right? It's the methodology sharing, irrespective of the harm that you're trying to test, that I think benefits from interdisciplinary approaches and us having everyone on the same group.
Yeah, and to relate it to those that are like traditional testers, it's kind of like the objective or the flag that I have is this. It's this type of harm in this case, but the way you get there could be so many different avenues, so many different attack paths that essentially leads you to that same type of flag, and that's what you guys are discovering.
Yeah.
Is there any type of common like classification of vulnerability that you continuously find? I know you said your teams work on the fringe, so it's going to be advanced things, but like, is there? And that's why I asked if there's like a common classification or even a specific type of vulnerability that just keeps reappearing.
It always happens. I will say that I'm constantly trying to push our team to innovate, actually. So I'm
so you want to discover new ones, not the same ones.
I'm not incentivizing them to find the same thing every time. So I may be kind of like pressing on the weight in a different direction there, but
which is a good thing because that's awesome to find.
I think that's the fun part.
That is the fun part.
I will say that I think, especially in the age of kind of hyper adoption of agentic systems or agentic functions within tech stacks, I think cross-prompt injection like really needs to be a focus for everyone who is adding agentic capability into their stack. I think that the fundamentals of cross-prompt injection, the way that we think about it, is how we can manipulate systems that are interconnected with oftentimes different levels of secret data and see if we can effectively pop that system because of the way that we can manipulate AI. When you have agents working in that system, they don't only have access to data,
Yeah.
They also have access to actions and function
Tools.
calling and all of those things, which just like superpowers the cross-prompt injection as a tactic. So I would say it is not the only thing we see all the time, but like if I have my moment to message, hey, you should really be thinking about this and testing it as creatively as you can, that's the one I think you need to care about.
Got it. Now, your team, you mentioned you have a bunch of different disciplines in the team.
Yeah.
What are their backgrounds like? Do they come from traditional testing, wanting to move into AI, or have they been always focused on AI? Like, what do their backgrounds look like?
Yeah, we have a fabulous mix. It's such a joy to talk about. So we have a strong contingent of folks who came from traditional security, right? So we have folks who have worked in security proper. We have folks who have experience in pen testing. We have folks who have experience in like actually more true hacker, like bounty type hacking. And I think you need that in an AI red team.
Yeah.
Like no matter which way you cut it, I think you really need to have a security backbone.
Mm-hmm.
Of those folks, I think you need people who are obsessed with AI, really are comfortable being humbled by the fact that it's non-deterministic,
Yeah.
right? That you don't get the same answer every time, that you have to try it a lot of different creative ways. So I think that's the profile of traditional security that you want on your team. Outside of traditional security, we have folks who have been in the military. We have folks who have been security AI researchers who like really come from that PhD track, adversarial ML folks. We have national security, we have biologists, we have social engineers, just a ton of folks who have thought about implications of tech on people and systems for a while.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's our big criteria, that like you're really used to thinking about that problem and you like thinking about that problem, and also you're really into messing with AI systems.
Yeah.
You kind of need to have that passion for the hack, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the thing that unifies everyone.
Yeah. It's a healthy obsession with,
Yeah.
like,
I mean, it's a useful one, right?
Yes. I think a lot of people listening can relate. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, is there been like a common mindset shift that they've all need to make, or something that you've noticed given your background of like, in order to be extremely successful in identifying this bleeding edge research and new vulnerabilities, like if you adopt this mindset or have this shift in thinking, this makes you become more successful?
I think that being open is really helpful. So what I've found is that, well, all of the people on our team are really experts in their thing. All of them are really excited to borrow tactics, right? People like the new recipe, not the recipe that they've always been using to get those results. And so I think it's like that mixture of open-minded curiosity and really being willing to add new stuff. Like you don't need to be the best at it, you kind of need to be the most creative. And I think that's actually what makes people really, really good at it. Folks who get stuck in a pattern that they've learned prior to AI being integrated in these spaces, I think struggle to really push innovation, like create new tactics, and get the most indicative examples of what we're trying to pass over to inform product. Because at the end of the day, our job is like to really illuminate an entire theme, trend, method, so that product really has something to chew on and fix. Because it, again, is that collaborative element before it actually goes out to anyone. And I think that the openness and the creativity and trying a lot of different things tends to be like the tinkering that gets you to the most detailed and helpful example. Mm-hmm. But if you stay too much on like your one thing, you're probably only going to help them on that one thing. Mm-hmm. And in AI, oftentimes, just the way these systems are built, the way you do one thing is the way you do all things. And that is also true for vulnerability exploits.
Now, as we were talking here, GPT-5 just got launched. Things are moving so fast.
Yes.
How do you keep up with the speed? How does your team keep up with this speed at the rate that AI and these models are just evolving?
Yeah, I like massive kudos to my team because we're sprinting.
Yeah.
Right? I think everyone who specifically are at that like novel tech release edge is sprinting. The nuance of our team is that we get everyone's novel.
Yeah.
Right? So we're going to get GPT-5 and we're also going to get new products and new features and new like ideas for agentic systems. And so we get a lot of new. I think part of what I was talking about in terms of that passion for how AI works makes it easier for my team to be experts through that explosion of change because we're really in it. Like we're seeing it happen, and so I think that's really helpful and educational because we have hands-on contact with like the cutting edge tech. But moreover, everyone kind of naturally is on that research bent, is in those forums, is looking for the new techniques. And I think everyone wants to be there. So naturally, a lot of those insights would come into our team even if we weren't sprinting. But I think because there's also this like mission feeling to our team, I think of it as a mission critical team. Like we really want to be a small, helpful team to make these things safer and more secure. That there's both like a natural bent to be at that cusp. There's hands-on experience that helps us like ground all of those research concepts into what's actually happening when we're playing with it. And then there's this drive that like we really want to make these things as secure and like give people as much information as we can. And I think that's the, three-legged stool maybe that keeps us upright.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, go ahead, Tori, make a prediction. Like what's going to happen in the next 5 years? 5 years with AI is way too long. Let's say 3 years. Right?
Yeah.
At the rate we're moving, it's pretty fast. So 3 years is going to feel like 5. What's going to be the next AI vulnerability? What's going to be the next thing that keeps everyone in security related to AI up? Like, what do you predict is going to happen?
Yeah, I think. Okay, I feel confident.
Are we going to get better or worse? We can start there.
It's probably all going to stay the same, but really change, right? I think that's probably the tagline of it all. But I feel confident the 1.5 to 2 year prediction mark.
Okay.
I don't know if I can even push it to 3. And I feel like the introduction of agentic systems and also the proliferation of models for purpose that have really different things that they are good at is going to create these complex ecosystems of multiple models that have different benefits, doing different things, interacting with one another in the same tech stack or the same user experience. And what I think is difficult about that and why we're going to care a lot about it is that the security of all of those different components is often done in a singular silo.
Yeah.
Right? And so an agent is tested with an agent. A model is tested for its own capabilities. But the combination of that model and agent, the completely different agent and model, creates all of these permutations in kind of boundary cases, which is where we see most of the vulnerabilities pop up. And so I think of it as ecosystem testing, and it's a reason why like we really like testing the way we do, because we are able to test truly the instance where this delta is included. And I would really encourage people to start moving to the place where they can test the whole kit and caboodle, like the true way it's going to be implemented, and take fresh eyes to it. Don't take assumptions into the way that those things are going to pull in. So I think that's going to be a really big element, and it breaks a lot of the ways that security works right now. And that's really uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And I think that's why it's going to be a focus. In terms of models, I'm really passionate about and I'm helping to lead the dangerous capabilities testing work that we do. And I think that's a place to watch.
Okay.
And I think specifically around frontier model capabilities, I think about autonomy, deception, scheming, loss of control as that functionality that folks who are building these systems and testing them really need to care about, especially if we make the assumption that agents are here to stay.
Yeah.
That really changes the paradigms for testing. And the combination of those models and those systems is going to be like pretty rife with things to test. So I would say those two things on the model front and on the implementation front are the next 2 years is as far as I'll go.
Yeah, definitely. Well, Tori, we could talk about this for hours, but unfortunately that's all we have. If someone wanted to follow like cool work that you're doing and connect with you, how can they do so?
Yeah, so I am on LinkedIn. I am also part of Microsoft Red Team, which has a learning center. We push out all of our blog posts there. We push a lot of papers through those as well. And so that's the central repository of anything that my team, the operations team, but also the pirate team and the research team all push out all of their insights there. So it's really the best of all three worlds in that site. And the lead of our team, his name's Ram, he's also a great follow.
Nice. So if anyone is thinking about building an AI red team, definitely should connect with you guys. Also read those resources.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome.
Super open to chat about it. Thanks so much for your time.
Yes, thanks for being on, Tori.
Yeah.
Thanks.
If you've made it this far, do me a favor and check out what we do at Sprocket Security. If you're ever in need of a penetration test and you want that hybrid scalable approach, the always testing, always on, not this fake click a button, do a pen test 2 weeks and then do that 5 times a year. No, I mean always on, always testing, latest bleeding edge threat that comes out there, latest exploit, phishing, all the way to, defense evading, covert operations, whatever type of pen test you need. We'll do it as frequently as possible, and we'll also provide a platform for us to interact together. I've devoted the last 5 years of my life to building penetration testing and innovating upon it and changing it so you can actually do security testing, proactive security testing in a much better way. Give it a shot. Check us out, www.sprocketsecurity.com.